Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Startup Convo. We're talking about startup businesses. People talk to me lately in the last several months about what to get businesses started, to get them up and running. And so I wanted to take some time to share how to start a business, I guess, just to talk about that a little bit. It's not really something that I do. The work that I do with business owners to increase their revenue and increase their profit really tends to work better once the business is already in motion. But I'm happy to what I know about business that I do work with to help you get your business started and get things up and running. So while we're here live, just want to let everyone know, as you're watching this live, to add comments down below. I'll get to see those comments as they come in, and I'd like to respond to your questions live. Anyone have any question at all about starting a business, I'm happy to at least to take it on. We'll see if I'm able to answer the question for you. But that's definitely what this session is all about, the video. So let's make this a two-way conversation. If you've got questions, feel free to pop those in the chat, pop those in comment. And if I don't have an answer for you, then I will do to get answers for you. I do have a topic that today that I'm going to talk about getting your business up and running, getting it off the ground. However, if questions come in, if we get comments that come in, then please, it's all right. I'll divert whatever I'm talking about, and we can take care of your question as we're going through today. All right. So yes, with that, let me go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Daniel McCrane. I'm the Chief Growth Strategist with McCrane Associates. I do work with businesses to implement strategies that generate tens of thousands of dollars of revenue and profit without spending additional money on marketing or advertising. So because of what I know working with those businesses, I don't know if that necessarily makes me qualified, but I just give you some business information that can help you make some decisions about starting your business. I'm not going to call it advice. I'm just going to share info with you. Certainly not going to tell you what to do as you're starting a business, because I don't feel like startup businesses are my specialty. So I will share information. I do want to see you get off the ground and get things started. I do feel very strongly that small businesses in our country, United States, if you're watching this in the US, I do feel that small businesses are the key to creating jobs, to creating wealth, not only for you as the business owner, but to help your employees to create wealth for their families. Small business owners, hey, let's face it, you and I, we're in the same boat here. I'm a small business owner too. Small business owners are the ones who create the jobs. We're the ones who pay our employees so that our employees can put food on the table for their families, put roofs over their families' heads, send them to school, make sure they have clothes, take care of all their basic needs, all that kind of stuff. So when you're a small business owner, this is a fantastic mission that we are on as business owners, to build our communities. And that's how I put this. We are building communities where you operate your business, where your employees live and work and send their kids to school. And we're all part of this together. And there's no community that can function if one part of community gets left behind. And so I just feel small business owners are a great contributor to that kind of community, and I love to support small businesses. So let me do this. Let me share some info that I have put together about starting up today. I'll share this with you, and then we'll see if we get other comments that pop in. And again, please feel free to comments here. I'll get to see those on my screen so I can respond to those questions right away. All right. So today, the main topic that I'm going to talk about is financing options for your business. There are some financing options that are available to help you out as you're getting started, because it does take a little bit of capital sometimes to get a business going. There are some businesses out there that very low cost could be able to start your business, and it'd be very easy to get things up and running and to make progress with your business. So other businesses, though, it's going to take a bit of capital to get started. So let's talk about that. There are several different challenges, of course, that I run into with trying to get some money to get your business started. And financing really is a major aspect to think about when you're starting a journey to start your own business. So, at a point where you haven't actually started yet, then consider this is something to look for, and this needs to be of your business for launch to launch your business. So you'll need to determine where funds are going to come from. Sometimes this can be this can cause a lot of anxiety. And more about some of the different funding options here. So it can be an obstacle that you have to overcome, that you have to deal with. And a lot of times the startup capital is what stops people from starting their own business. Now, very common, one of the first things that people think about if we were to talk about where can you get money, bank loans are going to be one of the first things that come to mind. There's some to think about, though, if you do just have to go down that route of a bank loan. And by the way, I'm not going to say any one of these is the best way. I'm just going to tell you about some different options that are available to you here. So if you go to a bank, there are going to be some requirements to get a loan from the bank. There are going to be things that you'll have to work out with that bank. Banks can, or different types of financial institutions like a bank. You could go someplace else too. But banks very likely are going to demand things like collateral. They're going to want to know what you can put up in case you're not make your payments. And the bank is also going to want to see your business plan. Now, I think I've talked before, my preference about business plans is, can you simplify your business plan? Can you get it down to minimum viable product? Is the least amount of preparation you have to do to get your up and running and making money and get some revenue coming? And can you get that small enough that you could write back of a napkin? That's where I suggest people go when they try to write their business plan for the very first time. However, if you go to a bank, that's going to be completely different. The bank is going to require a more robust business plan. And if you build plan templates, you're going to see all kinds of things there. So what goes into that business plan then would be things like your market research, your competitors' research, your 5-year outlook, your 10-year outlook for where you think your business is going to go, a full detailed analysis of your potential customers. They're going to want to see the first 5 years of projected finance for your business. That needs to go in your business plan, and just on and on. It can get really complicated to build a business plan to that level of detail. And so as you're just getting started here, let me tell you a little bit of warning as you get into this. Yes, there are people out there who will build a plan for you. And yes, they urge you to write your business plan. Do not spend thousands of dollars. Now, I'll tell you, you can spend $1,000 to get a business plan written. Is that really necessary? No, I don't think so. You could probably get a business plan written by someone for much, much cheaper. But you will pay to get the business plan written. I will tell you that. Or you'll end up paying in your own time to try to get your business plan written. You'll spend time trying to write that business plan instead, where you're going to end up paying to get that business plan written. So banks do tend to make it hard for trying to start their own business because they want to make sure that you are able to financial stability. The bank, they're big concerned whether they are going to get their money back for their depositors and for their shareholders. So they want to make sure that you have a viable financial business plan and that you will be a good risk to loan money to. So it's going to feel maybe like they are being combative with you and just making you do all this extra work for nothing. The extra work that they ask you to go through, though, is going to make your business strong. You have a plan that is bankable. That means you have something very solid. You have a strong business that you'll be able to launch with that bank loan. So it'd be very stressful, though, especially when the bank starts to ask, what assets do you own and can you put those up for collateral? Ask you about your personal assets, about your house. If you own a house, can you put that up as collateral for this business loan? And that can cause a lot of stress. It's scary to think, if my business fails, what's going to happen to my personal home and money? Are we going to end up being foreclosed on out of our house if this business venture doesn't work out? So that can actually be a very stressful consideration. So think about going to a bank loan. If that's something that is going to work out for you, if you want to go through the effort of creating that business plan and jumping through those hoops, because like I said, that is going to make sure that your business is very strong and very viable. Banks may have other requirements too. They may require that you only rent out your business space as opposed to maybe purchasing the space. That might be something to talk to your accountant about, whether it's a better deal for you outright a physical location where you're going to be conducting business, or if it's better for you to rent. The bank, however, may want you to rent because they make their bank money tied up in an asset that is not meaningful to them. The bank is not the business of owning real estate, okay? So remember that. You've got a commercial real estate space that you own, and now you default on your business loan and the bank takes back all those assets. They really don't want real estate. And so that might be why they say, okay, we want you to rent your business space. Or they may even say, you can't use our loan money on anything other than inventory, because that way they know if they do have to close, they can at least sell off the inventory and get some of their money back. Also, that if you do go for a loan, some of those loans, and maybe all of them, are with kind of an interest rate, and that will increase the amount to repay. So you'll need to know if it's viable to make that kind of monthly revenue to cover your bank loan. Now, let me also say here too, with lenders, let's talk about private lenders for a moment. There are people who will offer money to you, and if the bank won't lend you money, then these private lenders will. You know that means the interest rate is going to be higher to get that done. That's the cost of risk. Is the interest rate. You're going to pay more because for some reason somebody sees you a little bit riskier, so they're going to jack up the price of the money they're loaning you by raising the interest rate. So watch out for sharks like that, for loan sharks who may offer to loan you that you need, but they may have ridiculous interest rate. So just watch out. Okay. Government grants would be another way that you could get some capital to start your business. It would be something that I would recommend to everyone who's starting out a business, is to look around and see if you can find it. The U.S. has a lot of grants to start small businesses. Other countries have other programs too. And this kind of caters to smaller potential business owners who are just getting started. So you take a look not only at the federal, but also look at the state level. and maybe even at a local level, see if there are any kind of grants that are available. Sometimes there are non-organizations to help launch entrepreneurs. They may have some access to some grants as well. Now, applying for a grant is also not easy. Just like I said, working on that business plan for the bank is not easy, coming up with all that documentation. Grant applications also require a ton of documentation. It can be worth the time to go through that grantation, because if you qualify for a grant, you get back. That's what a grant is all about. So do take a look at grants as a possibility, and maybe even consider hiring a grant writer, someone who's an expert locating grants and filling them out, because that could increase your chances of qualifying for the grant, increase the grant amount that you qualify for. All right, another possible form capital to get started might be relatives or friends. You may be reluctant to reach out to relatives and ask to borrow money, and for obvious reasons. Money between family can easily turn ugly. I have seen opportunities where friends loaned to each other, and because of the terms of the loan, because of a late payment, because of defaulting on the loan, that completely ruined their friendship. It can completely ruin family relationships as well. So there's the downside of asking friends and family for money to get started. However, it may be a great way to get started because your friends and your family already knew and they trust you. The only downside, like I said, is it can put stress on the relationship. Another downside is maybe your friends and family feel like now they have an ownership stake in your business. And so they may feel like they want to give you advice that you should be doing things certain ways, running your business a certain way, something like that. So if you're going to borrow money from friends or family, just be very clear about what the terms and the conditions to be for that loan. Be very clear from the very beginning. And you may even want to put the terms of the loan in writing, even though it's friends and family. That might be a really good to get agreement with them and then put it in writing so that down the road there's no confusion and there are no missed expectations. Having like that, a written agreement with friends and family, is not legally binding. So if your friend and you had a falling out, and then your friend tried to get that money from you because your venture didn't out, there's not a whole lot really a friend could do. Maybe take you to small claims court, but I don't know. That's kind of a sticky legal issue. Certainly not something I am an expert on. If you do have additional questions about the legality of taking money from friends and family as a loan, check with your lawyer in that area and see what they would say. It would be wise, though, friends and family, if they feel like they should have an ownership stake in your company, lay out those actions and say, no, this is loan, I will repay it. This does not entitle you or does not entitle you to have share in my business at all. Personal funds, of course, were a way to try to bankroll your business. That is, if you have those funds available. And not every entrepreneur is going to, of course. Personal funds are usually paired with a funding type, whether that's a bank loan. So maybe the bank might come back to you and say, okay, but what are you going to kick in to help get this going too? Friends and family may do the same. Be able to say, oh, I can loan you 1,000 or here or there, but I can't get you the whole way. And so you may have to use some of your own personal savings to help out too. Great thing about using funds to get started is you're not going to charge yourself interest. And you may not have any personal conflicts because it's just yourself loaning yourself the money. Now, another option to consider would be private donations. Now, private lenders a little bit earlier, private donations or investors. So if you think you have a new idea for a small business and a great enough idea that you think you could sell to potential investors, these would be called venture capitalists. And this then taking a loan from bank or family members. Remember I said if you're doing it with family, it might be better to do the loan. Although maybe your family does want to step in and be an investor. But the investor would only, it would involve the investor a stake in your business. So they would become a owner. So even if you think about it like if you own a share of stock in a large corporation, even though maybe you only own one share of stock versus the million that are out there, because you own one share of stock, you are a partial owner of that company. So that's something to consider. If you take on an investor, you have to give them an equity stake in your business. So the disadvantage is that the idea that you come up with for your business has to be creative and it has to be potentially profitable, because that investor is going to know when they get their money back. How soon are you going to be my investment to me, either through dividends or through the sale of the company, something like that. Sometimes a controlling interest in the company may be given if an investor spends their money to get the business started. So just be prepared that if you go down that route, you may have to share control of your company with that investor for a while. So watch out for that. There are a few ideas for how you can fund your business. It's definitely important that you figure out how you are going to get started. Definitely nothing wrong with bootstrapping if that's what you want to do. Maybe even start your business on for a while if you can, while you're holding another job, if that's a possibility for you. So yeah, definitely do your research on funding options and figure out what's going to work better for you to try to get business up and running and figure out what you're going to do to get things started. And I know I've mentioned this before, but start your business with a pile of capital that is slowly going to be depleting over time as you're getting started. At the same time, then you want to be ramping up your revenue as you're earning money. So as your cash is coming down, you want your revenue up. They need to meet, and your revenue earnings need to outpace the depletion of your startup capital. So a few things to think about there about trying to get started. Consider what option might be best for you. I do just want you to be prepared and understand what your funding options are as you're getting. Well, again, if you find this after the fact, if you have additional questions about funding or just any additional question all about starting a business, feel free to add comments below the video. I'm happy to respond to your comments. If I know the answer, I'm happy to find answers for you to help you get started. I just want to see small businesses grow and succeed. I'd hate for you to become one of those statistics of businesses that don't make it during their first year of existence. So not seeing anyone adding any comments right now, I'll go ahead and set this one up. And I will say that I will see you next week in the next Startup Convo session, and we'll find another topic to talk about next week. So until then, everyone, have a great day and to your success.